Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Raw Life Health Show. I'm so excited. I got an old friend here who's not too old, but he's vegan and he looks young, and his name is Doug. What's up, Doug? How you doing?
I am the best ever, Paul. Good to see you, buddy.
Yes, I know Doug from my days in New York a long time ago. Doug is an advocate for a vegan diet, a strong advocate. He has an amazing Instagram channel, and he's all over the internet, always giving information about the vegan diet and the vegetarian diet. And it's wonderful what you're doing, man.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. You were one of my early inspirations 25 years ago.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, how'd you grow up and what made you decide to even switching your diet?
Well, I grew up eating anything, cooked food, processed food, refined food, meat, dairy, animal products, milkshakes, fast food. I just ate junk for most of my life. And then when I turned 33, I had my come to cucumber moment. And my whole family, was sick. And my aunt got diabetes, and then they chopped off her feet below her ankles. My uncle got heart disease, and he died of cardiac arrest. My mother got stomach cancer, then she died. My father got heart disease, and he died. And my brother became overweight, obese, diabetic, had atrial fibrillation, hypertension, and then had the first of 3 strokes and a heart attack. And so at that moment, I thought I was genetically cursed. And then I met our mutual friend, Denise, and Denise was 100% plant-based. And she started to expose me to information like raw food and the Big Apple Vegetarian Society. And we started to go on retreats. And then it became very clear to me that I wasn't genetically cursed, that I was living a toxic, carcinogenic, heart disease laden lifestyle. And that if I changed my lifestyle, I could change my life. And I went raw vegan. And for the last 25 years, like today, this year I've been almost 100% raw vegan, like just 100%. My diet is 50% sprouts and the rest mature vegetables and fruit. And I'm 57 and loving it.
All right, that's great. And I want to tell everybody, for me, one of the keys to me being successful at a raw vegan diet for all these years is sprouts. Sprouts are absolutely living foods, and they're amazing. And if you try to do a vegan or a vegetarian diet without it, you're missing a big thing. I think it's very important. So I'm glad to hear you're doing sprouts. That's great. So tell us. So you made this change, and when you made the change, how soon did you feel the effects on your body? Or were you feeling great before, but you just saw everyone around you getting sick, so you decided to change so you don't get sick? Or did you start to experience some problems yourself?
I had hidden symptoms, right? So I was, a little overweight, maybe 35, 36 pounds overweight. And I would lose energy in the middle of the day. Like around 3 o'clock, I'd run out of steam. And then I have to have some Coca-Cola, some sugar, some coffee, some candy, cotton candy, like whatever I could. And that would give me a second wind. And, but otherwise I was functioning, but I just felt that I could do better. And then when I went raw, it was just a whole new exciting game, because I remember reading Nature's First Law, the raw food diet, and every chapter ended with cooked food is poison. And it was just really resonated with me, like that what this meant, that, I remember like all the old talks at Caravan of Dreams and all the people that came through there, Doug Graham, Gabriel Cousins, David Wolf, and that, no animal in nature has a stove inside their stomach, right? Like we're not, carnivorous creatures that just want to go and kill and tear people apart, and eat their internal organs, right? So the idea that you could eat fruit, and I loved fruit, but I could eat fruit in abundance. Like that was exciting for me because I grew up, lower middle class. And so food was sparse. And so if we had cherries, maybe we would get 10 or 12 cherries, and that was it. Now I can eat 2 pounds of organic Bing cherries or Rainier cherries instead of getting a slice of watermelon, or a wedge of watermelon. I'll eat the entire watermelon. Like I'll carve it and I'll eat the whole thing. And so when I realized that I could eat as much fruit as I wanted until I was no longer hungry or full, that was the most exciting thing. And I felt so privileged, A, that I had this wisdom, and B, that I could afford it. And that was it. And then, for 20 years, I always had access to farmers markets, health food stores, grocery stores that had produce. And so my life was very simple. But then, 5 years ago, I moved to the desert. I moved to Wonder Valley Hot Springs. And it turns out that not only was I in the Mojave Desert, I was in a food desert. And there wasn't organic fruit. There wasn't organic vegetables. And so I was having this first time in my adult life that I was reaching financial success, but food scarcity. And I realized I was in a food desert, and that the only food near me were gas stations and 7-Eleven and Taco Bell and McDonald's and Burger King. And then, the universe really gave me the download about sprouts. And I always thought that sprouts were a superfood. I thought they were super nutritious. I always thought that they were tasty. I could eat them, but I treated them as a garnish, something I would eat as a snack or a side dish. And then when I had no other options for food, I started to get this download about sprouts. And it's really into 3 parts. Number one, sprouts are vegetables. They're not this like little garnish. They're not something insignificant. They are a vegetable that can have 20 to 100 times the nutrient content of mature vegetables, the phytonutrient content. Amazing. And they were food, right? Number two, sprouts were vitamins and minerals. So rather than this reductionist philosophy of taking a vitamin A, a vitamin B, a multivitamin, synthetic vitamins, extruded and extracted protein powders, and the like, I could eat sprouts, and that sprouts contained every single micronutrient, phytonutrient, polyphenol, bioflavonoid, antioxidant, prebiotic, soluble, insoluble fiber. They're all in the sprouts. So the fact that you could live the whole food plant-based diet by eating sprouts was like this revelation to me. It was mind-boggling to me. And then number 3, which like I pinch myself when I hear this, number 3 was that sprouts were medicine, that there were thousands of peer-reviewed published papers about the medicinal properties of sprouts, from the ability to kill cancer cells, the ability to create heat shock proteins in the brain, the ability to detoxify benzene and other air pollutants from the lungs, the ability to regulate insulin levels in diabetics. And of course, sprouts are the number one by far weight loss food because they are super high nutrient, super high fiber, and low calorie. So it's like, whoa, like sprouts are it. That the idea that you could live on sprouts. And I'm not promoting to your your friends and followers that they become sproutarians or sproutivores. What I'm saying is that you can add sprouts to every single dish. Like whatever you're eating, you can slip some sprouts right in there and boost the nutrition of anything that you're eating, whether you're vegan, whether you're carnivore, like wherever you are, sprouts fit in to everything that you're eating.
That's amazing, and it's so true. And I want to encourage everybody to definitely make sure you're eating your sprouts, but take it to another level. Don't just eat them, but grow them. Because when I was living in New York, I didn't have a garden space like I do now to grow my food. But I realized I could have always have grown my food, and we could always grow our food, no matter if we're in a cold climate, if we're in a desert, wherever we are. If we get sprouts, we could do it in our house, and it's once you learn how to do it, it's so simple, and it's the cheapest way to get your food, and it's getting the highest quality food for the lowest price. It's amazing all around. So thanks for sharing that. That's so important. So tell me this, Doug. So after doing this for 25 years, how is your health? Do you ever go to a doctor? Do you get your blood work checked? Where are you now with your with your
I
health?
mean, my health is the best ever. Right now, I'm 57 years old. I've got explosive energy. I run 5 or 10K every day. I do, between 100 and 200 push-ups. I do my pull-ups, I do my body work, I do my yoga. Like my health is impeccable. And I haven't been to a doctor in years. I really can't even imagine. I can't remember the last time I went to a doctor. Like I just can't even remember. And I believe that if I got hit by a truck, I would go to the doctor, right? A lot of people are getting these scans, full body scans, full blood workups, etc. And I'm not doing that because whatever the result would be, I would be doing the diet and the life that I'm eating right now. Right? So even if there was something going awry inside of me, I think what I'm doing would be what I would be doing. So that's what I'm doing.
Sure. Do you take any supplements at all?
The only supplement I take is vitamin B12, and it's maybe once a month I'll take it because I don't wash my vegetables. I don't wash my fruit. I don't wash my sprouts. So, and I live in nature. So I hope that there's enough bacteria forming on these fruits and vegetables that I'm consuming so that my body, my intestines, my gut microbiome will form the B12. But just, for a conservative approach, I will still take a vitamin B12 supplement sublingually, when I see it. And it's usually if I'm in someone's house or I'm someone there and they have B12, they have a whole thing of supplements, and might as well pop a B12.
Sure. And
What do
so
you do for B12?
I take a B12 supplement, and but that's all. I don't. I do look at my blood work. I want to make sure that everything is good, and as a teacher, I want to also learn about different things. So I get pretty technical on that side of it. But I do take a B12 when I remember. But I do take a B12 supplement. My B12 has always been great in blood tests, but I also realized that there's something called homocysteine and vitamin B6 and folic acid, and they all work together with B12. So even though my B12 has always been great, there were times in the past I had high homocysteine. So I had to figure that whole thing out and so on, and look at that. And I have, and everything's in order now and everything else. So it's good to know. But so that's what I do. So uh, how do you get your food since you live in a desert? How do you get your food?
Um, I will grow my sprouts. So most of my food is sprouts, all my vegetables. And then my fruit, I will go to the farmer's market, once a week in Joshua Tree, or maybe one of the other ones in Palm Springs or something. And I'll go on a little adventure and I'll get my fruit there.
So give us an example of your diet. What you eat, let's say yesterday. What was your diet throughout the day? What time do you
I
get
mean,
up?
yeah,
What time do you get
yesterday.
up and what do you eat and what time you go to sleep?
So I set my alarm. I set 3 alarms to go to sleep at night so that I can wind down. I don't set an alarm to wake up in the morning, so I get up, early. So I try to go to sleep between 9:30 and 10 PM, and I get up between 5 and 6 AM. And then I drink water, and I only consume water until about noon. And then at noon, like today at noon or yesterday at noon, I ate a whole watermelon. And then about an hour and a half later, I ate a whole cantaloupe, Tuscan cantaloupe. And then um, around 2 hours after that, I started to eat sprouts. And I ate like an abundance. I ate a whole jar of broccoli sprouts, plain. Then I had some green pea sprouts. And then, oh, and then I had from the farmer's market, I had some sugar snap peas as dessert because they're really sweet and delicious. And that was it. So if I were to do the breakdown of what I ate yesterday, it was about 90% carbs, 6% protein, and 4% fat. So most people don't realize watermelon contains fat, cantaloupe has fat, and that's where I got some fat. And then the sprouts even have some fat and protein in them.
Wow. Do you ever fast or no?
I love fasting. So I'll do a week or 2 week water fast every year. And then if I'm traveling, like on air travel, I prefer to water fast on the plane because I find that it reduces jet lag and keeps me more present.
And what about juicing? Do you juice?
As you know, I have a background in juicing. I don't juice now. If I see wheatgrass in the supermarket, in the health food store at a farmer's market, I'll drink an ounce or two of wheatgrass, and I'll swirl in my mouth for about 2 minutes. And then if there's a fresh place and they're making organic green juice, and I will drink a green juice unsweetened. So usually kale, cucumber, celery, spinach, lemon, but I don't add any fruit to the green juice, but I don't juice presently on my own.
Now, why not? Because explain to everybody your background with juicing and why don't you currently do it?
I don't do it right now because I don't have the access to the organic vegetables, and it takes a lot of vegetables in order to get a glass of juice. But back in 2002, my partner Denise and I started Organic Avenue, and we started with one Norwalk juicer making 12 quarts an hour. Then we got the Good Nature X1 that was doing 15 gallons an hour. Then we bought several Good Nature X1s, and then we upgraded to the Good Nature X6 that was doing 50 gallons an hour, and we had 6 of those. And then we bought like one of their larger units, the squeeze box that did over 500 gallons per hour of juice. So I made a lot of juice. What I found is that it takes a lot of time to buy the produce, wash the produce, chop the produce, make the juice, clean the juicer, and that unless I was, going through a healing crisis, it's not worth the time for me to actually do that. So I'm getting most of my water from eating high water concentrated fruits and vegetables. And then I'm eating a lot of sprouts, which are very tender. And so, juicing doesn't fit well into my current regimen. But if you want to come, Paul, and, bring all the produce, wash the produce, make the juice, clean the juicer, I would be drinking a green juice every day.
There's a new juicer that's out now. My friend Dr. Fred Bishy, who I think you know,
Of
uh,
course.
yeah. So Dr. Fred told me and said, Paul, you got to see this new juicer. It's called the Nama J2 juicer.
I have a Nama J too.
I'm telling you, I am telling you, I use that thing. That is Doug, you have to admit, if you've used it, the cleanup is so
Oh, I have one.
the cleanup is so simple. It doesn't, it's like revolutionary for juicing. Do you agree?
I love my Nama J2 juicer. It's just it takes time for me to source the produce and to clean it. And right now, with having a 1-year-old baby,
Yeah.
and all the stuff that I'm doing, that's a process.
Yeah.
Like beginning to end, with the Nama juicer, you know, is the minimum. And you're probably a pro by now. You could do it with your eyes closed. It still takes 15 minutes.
I mean, this juicing changed my life. I mean, I literally cleaned the juicer on film in less than 1 minute.
Wow. And what
Yeah.
about washing the produce?
I mean, I've always just I don't sit there with a scrub brush and wash each carrot. I just put it take water and wash it. I mean, it don't take long. The only thing different than the is you got to cut the vegetables smaller, and then put them in the top of it, as opposed to standing there and doing this. But so you're cutting the vegetables, you put them in, but you can walk away. You don't have to juice. You walk away. It does it for you. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love it. I love
Amazing.
I love it.
I'm amazed by it, and so I'm juicing. I love it, but I hear you don't have access to the produce enough, so I get it. So now here's the question, Doug. So you are from New York, or you were living in New York. You had access to the best produce in the world, even though there are certain farms in the world where you can grow it, but you get everything in New York, right at your fingertips. What I love hot springs, but what made you move to the desert?
I mean, I was done with, hearing a horn. Like I didn't like the horns honking. I didn't like you know, the air quality on the subway. I didn't like the um just the overall concentration, pollution, and just energetically in one building in New York, you could have 10,000 people, right? I live in a community with 100 square miles and there's 600 people. So, it was just great. Like during the pandemic, we could walk around, naked with nothing and not have to worry about anything. So I think just having space, having access to nature, was very appealing. And then, of course, being able to see the stars. Like I see, we have a meteor shower coming up at Wonder Valley Hot Springs, starting in August 1st, like next week. And literally, you'll be able to see one shooting star every minute.
So what's the difference between a shooting star and a falling star?
You'll have to ask AI. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I've never seen a shooting star in my life.
I mean, it's just like amazing. Like if you go onto the Wonder Valley Hot Springs Instagram account, you can see like just an iPhone picture, of the stars. It's amazing. You could see every star, the galaxy, planets. You could see the moon rising, the moon setting, and like tons and tons of nature. So it's just magical. And I found like, I was overpaying to live in condensed quarters, with poor air quality and off gassing, paints and carpets and other stuff. And, I just wanted to be able to get up and be free.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the other day I put a video out about juicing, about the new Dama J2 juicer, and somebody said, well, they didn't have juices in the Bible. And to your point, what you said earlier, they didn't have ovens either. They didn't
That's
have
right.
stoves. So, what, in your opinion, from a vegetarian diet to a raw food diet, eating the foods raw versus cooking them, when people are switching over to the vegetarian diet for health reasons, because I know there's a whole other side of why people want to be on a vegan diet, how significant do you think it is to get raw living foods versus just the average vegan food you could find in the stores?
I mean, if you think about our bodies are mostly water based, the ability to consume fruits and vegetables that have high concentration of water is very important. And the first thing that happens when you cook the food is the water molecules that are embedded inside of the cytoplasm evaporate, and then you're basically getting, denatured fiber. So I think raw food, living food, fresh water based. Like I don't do dehydrated foods either. So I really like fresh. I've been a fresh guy for 25 years and I'm sticking to it.
Mhm. So, what would be your message to people that are out there? There's two type of people. There's people that want to make a change in their health. They want to improve. They want to do something. What would be your message to them about the vegetarian or vegan diet? And then there's the people that don't want to change and they want. Well, we'll get to them after. What would be your message to people that want to make a change?
I think that people want to make a change is they have to really want to make a change, and that they probably need to develop a tenacity of conviction and come up with a plan. Like my food plan was I'll buy my watermelon, I'll grow my sprouts, I'll have the cantaloupe in season, I'll have some cherries in season, and I will allocate all the stuff that I need. And I know this is what I'm going to eat. And then I'm prepared for criticism, chastising, naysayers, like people kind of spewing irrational things at me without any concern whatsoever. Like I've heard it all and I don't care. Like I know that this is what I'm going to do. So my advice for people that want to do this is to no, you can do it. Like you can do it. And you don't need to ask anyone's permission. You just need to say, this is what I'm going to do and stick to it.
For those people out there that they mock a vegan diet and they have no interest in changing, do you even waste your time with them, or do you still try to convince them, or at least
Well,
show them?
I asked them about, their bodily health, right? You know, are their internal organs functioning? Can they get blood flow, to their various organs, right? Do they sleep well at night? Do they like the feeling of being overweight or obese, right? Does that feel good? Um, and then also ask them, why, like, where did they get this notion that what they were doing, um, is good for them? And so I've seen a lot of radical transformations by asking people questions, about why they're doing what they're doing.
Sure. And what would be your message? There's a lot of people out there, especially in Hollywood now, on this thing called a carnivore diet, where they're just eating, literally just eating uh, animals, animal meat. They're not eating anything else. What's your experience with that from people doing that? And have you ever seen something like that work, or you think it can work?
No, I mean, my belief about that is that it's a very, if someone is eating straight meat, it's like a drug. It's like the equivalent of snorting cocaine, right? They're getting the blood, they're getting the concentration of protein and fat. It's triggering the pleasure sensors in the brain. The dopamine is firing. And, um, the benefit for them is if they give up eating fried food, baked food, um, highly processed junk food, and they just are going to eat, what they're considering, clean, lean meat, then they're probably going to do better by the elimination of the processed food, the seed oils, and the fried stuff, and the baked stuff, and all like the bread, pizza, pasta, soda, things, etc. But from a perspective of longevity and health and a microbiome, there's so much evidence that supports a whole food plant-based diet that the idea of just eating, meat is incomprehensible to me, illogical, incomprehensible to me. And unfortunately, I think we're going to start to see massive amounts of cardiac arrest, clogging of the arteries, and heart disease over the next 5 years, because that's how long it's going to take. If someone's like 40 years old and they're just doing this carnivore, if they could suck it up and do it for 5 years, we're going to start to see, all sorts of complications, unfortunately.
All right, Doug, this information is amazing. You look too good for your age. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't know you. So tell us now if people want to get in touch with you. So I know you're all over Instagram. I love getting your Instagram shorts and all your videos. What's the best way people can find you and follow you?
So I have a newsletter coming out on thesproutbook.com. So I wrote the Sprout book, which became the #1 best-selling vegetarian and vegan book on Amazon. So very exciting, the Sprout book. So sign up at thesproutbook.com for the newsletter. I'm on TikTok, so I'm probably the healthiest information on TikTok, and my handle there is Sprout Wiz, W-I-Z, SPROUT WIZ, and on Instagram it's Doug Evans, my name.
Wonderful. I'm going to put all those links below, everybody. Definitely get in touch with Doug. Doug, it's great to catch up with you and keep up the great work, man. I just love seeing your stuff and I look forward to seeing your book and have a great day, man.
Hey, thanks so much. Keep up the great work. It takes massive initiative to do what you've been doing, Paul, for all these decades. So keep it up and thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life.